I'm not going to tell you that Galactus has been a good roommate. He is not. He is thoroughly not.
Would it be so bad if an 84-year-old got into heroin?
Welcome to the Cat Organizational Podcast.
You idiot. It's written down in front of you, you idiot.
This is like the buffalo chicken wrap of answers.
I haven't heard about hot orcs in a while.
We were so horny for motion controls in 2005.
I can't wait to come back and tell you how it was Noah's Ark, you asshole.
I would also like to retroactively say I've never had cotton candy acid.
So Andrew's 100% doing a voice, right?
Everybody get off IMDb now. Time to record.
This episode and probably this whole podcast is a mistake. Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how legendary GM Alex Trebek is now standing at that video board in the sky.
Oh.
Man, listen, we've been doing this podcast long enough to be broadcasting through the death of Stan Lee and Alex Trebek, and I think those are the two most important boomers in my life.
I'd throw a Bob Barker in there.
Yeah.
And I would stay home sick from school. It was Bob Barker that got me through those days.
As we were recording this on November 8th, there's a lot of nice tributes on Twitter. Mostly of videos of Trebek owning nerds on Jeopardy, which is just so rad.
It's so good.
Yeah, every single one of them is good.
I'll do you a different kind of energy. There was one where he was, and it's been retweeted a million times, but he's going down the final Jeopardy, and he's like, "Oh, so and so, like you're smiling. That looks good. What's your answer?" And he like shows his answer, and it says, "We love you, Alex."
Yeah, that's nice.
And Alex Trebek like very obviously like gets choked up, and the guy bet like, you know, his betting number was like 1995, which may have been when Alex Trebek started. Maybe I don't know if it was.
No, it was 1984 or 1985.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it left him with like $5, and Alex Trebek's like, "Oh, and you're left with $5." Like, it was like a very like sentimental moment, but you're still like, that's kind of some weird energy.
I think that was after he got diagnosed, right?
That's my
guess.
I think
so.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that.
Hey, well, here's something else that happened this week. I don't know if you guys know this, if you've been reading the news, but Mass Effect is coming back. Mass
And
Effect
that's
Trilogy.
the only news that
Yeah,
happened.
that was it. I don't know. I mean,
there's nothing
I've been
else big.
glued to the news waiting for that one announcement. We're going to get Mass Effect Trilogy remastered.
Now,
So-
what does that mean, and is it Andromeda?
No, it's the original, the actual, the Mass Effect Trilogy.
It means you'll be able to
Not
play
the
it again
fanfic.
on Switch, Todd.
Can I but what if I just want to play the last hour of the third one, because that was what everyone loved the most?
Well, what that would be is basically the feeling that you've been making all these decisions and nothing has mattered,
matters.
and everything is out of your control, which I feel like has been the last 4 years. So I think we've all had enough of that.
If we're here to dunk on Mass Effect, because why wouldn't we for a second?
Yeah.
The fact that like you make a choice in the second one of whether you want to like save these intelligent spider creatures or not.
I think that's
totally
in the first one.
Is in the first one?
Yeah.
I know it's 1 or 2. And you're
it
like,
happens in Novaria.
yeah, and you're like, oh, well, you know, will you save these things? Like, don't save them. They're gonna murder us later, and you save them, and there's no resolution. In the third one, there's literally a paragraph that's like, because you saved these spiders, they helped build the station faster.
It's literally like it's like experience points. Like that's it got
so stupid.
That entire race of fake aliens got converted down to 500 experience points. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Mass Effect.
Yeah, guys.
Unless someone wants to pay us to talk about Mass Effect.
So because this week was so uneventful and boring, with nothing newsworthy really happening, the Debate This crew and we all hopped on a Zoom call and we just told stories of simpler times. Specifically times when we had roommates that we really liked. None of our friends really seemed to enjoy hanging out with them. So joining me today to reminisce are Matt, checks with you every time he invites guests over Cole. Todd shares his expensive snacks with you, Thomas. And Andrew switches what video game he's playing so you can join in, Henderson.
Nice.
Wholesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Those are rad.
I would share my Trader Joe's snacks with you, Kyle.
I believe it, Todd. That's why I gave you that nickname. Matt and Andrew are a little more stingy with their snacks, though, I think. So.
No, but I always
Confirmed.
play Overwatch, even though I don't want to.
So guys, we've all experienced it. We've all had that roommate who you really got along with, even though you thought they were going to be a pain in the ass. But none of your friends really seemed to like them. Just no matter how many times they came over, they never warmed up to the guy. But damn it, you can't help but like this person. So tell me about this roommate. Tell me about your initial apprehension or why your friends didn't like him.
Yeah, so I, after my last roommate experience and finding a roommate off of a bulletin board at a young political activist meeting, I decided to go a different direction. And I just, I let in this weird headspace that I'm still in college, I let the college pick my roommate for me. And I got paired up with this guy named Mortimer. And so the thing with Mortimer was that he was a year above me. And so I could talk to some other folks who were in the school and who knew him to kind of get the read on him. And they said some things that I didn't love, They said that he is pretty weird and kind of keeps to himself a lot. And just like, it's like he's always there, but you never know he's there. It's just like you're in the room hanging out and then you realize he's been sitting in the corner the whole time. He's like that kind of weird introvert energy. And the other thing is that he's got like a bit of a smell. Like he just isn't the cleanest guy in the world. He's got a little bit of a weird, I don't know, we could call it an aura about him. Yeah, like a funk. But the real thing that people talk about was that he's just like so goddamn clingy. Like he's just so clingy. And it's not only to his friends, because he's like, he looks for love from everybody. Like he just wants to be liked. But he also just like sticks to everything. Like he's a really sticky dude. So he sticks to your relationship and he also sticks to the wall.
Like you shake his hand and he always feels like he just handled a jar of jam.
Matt is either describing a very sticky toddler or everyone's freshman year dorm roommate.
The answer may surprise you. So yeah, that was my roommate. And I had some initial like concerns. I really was, because I am not somebody who does well with clingy people. And I definitely prefer a cleaner apartment. But yeah, I ended up living with this guy named Toad, and it all ended up being okay.
Wait.
I thought his name was Mortimer.
Yeah, Mortimer, last name that I have to look at the wiki for, Mortimer Toynbee? How the hell do you pronounce that? Toynbee?
Toynbee.
Yeah, Mortimer Toynbee, but he goes by Toad. It's a weird thing.
Okay, well that answers my question. Did you call him Mortimer the entire run of your lease together? Because that's pretty awful.
It is. I was going to go with Mort, but he said Toad was fine, and I thought that was weird, but I didn't want to argue.
All right. Sounds like Andrew said, like all of our freshman year roommates. Todd, who'd you live with?
Yeah, Kyle. So since we're, my last experience didn't go so well, what with a guy trying to, explode the TV by leaning on it out of passive aggression. I got to tell you about a very different experience I did have. And this was my roommate that I had after Remy. And this was my roommate, Gallon. So back in college, I had advertised, I was renting out a spare room in the house with me and my buddies. And it was a side room, like off of the kitchen, that had these huge vaulted ceilings. So that's what I put in the listing, vaulted ceiling, spare room, lots of space. I had a pretty decent rate. And so I'd gotten this text back from this guy named Gallon Ta. But like it was weird. Like Gallon, Gallan, only like he had introduced himself as Gallon of Ta. It was very strange. Anyway, that was probably a typo.
Maybe he just really likes Game of Thrones.
There you go. And he just inquired about, like, he kept asking how big the space was, and I said it's big. He'd also asked if it came with a large parking space, and I said it did not come with parking, so he'd have to figure that out elsewhere. But yeah, a lot of questions about how tall the ceilings were. But anyway, since the rent was a good option for him, he said he was interested. And things seemed really fine and normal, like setting up an arrangement to rent something or sell something or whatever, until in walked this like cranky monotone guy with these big old eyes and a huge headdress, and he was towering over us at about 18 feet tall. And I guess that's why he was asking about the vaulted ceilings. And like personally, I didn't really have I had no issues with Gallon, but my friends like just kept saying he was particularly cranky that day and kept saying how hungry he was.
Oh, he was hangry?
He was hangry. He was a Snickers commercial. And and I guess like the thing that kind of set my other friends off at the time was that when he moved in, the weirdest thing he did is he put this huge wall-sized gigantic map on the wall that had all these like, they looked like planets that I'd never heard of with like names on them. And they had like circles around them, and like some of them would say consume underneath that planet, and then other things would say do not consume, and then other ones would say maybe consume.
So like was he like a physicist?
I'm not really sure, but like in the end, I wasn't too mad because his gigantic map on the wall just replaced the old like John Belushi College Animal House poster that had been there, so it was definitely like an improvement.
Right.
But yeah, so me and Gallon, we at least I would say for the most part started out pretty well as roommates back then. But yeah, my friends just really didn't feel it back then.
I know that we've all been in this situation before where like we have had to find a roommate to fill a room in a house so we don't have to move or something like that.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being in this situation that Todd is in where this like potential roommate is like, hey, how big is the room? And you're like, it's pretty big. And they're like, how big? And you're like, big. And they're
big.
like, no, like
big enough.
How big? That raises so many red flags. That immediately is like, why do you care? Why do you need to know?
Well, it's real nice of you that you didn't take the super high vaulted ceilings too, Todd. Like,
well, I mean, it was effectively like a second living room. Like he didn't seem concerned about access to a fridge or a toilet. And I didn't ask questions because like college. Yeah, I mean, it did me a solid, or at least I thought.
All right, Andrew, what do you got? Who'd you live with?
Well, it's still happening. And I've got to tell you guys, I am just shit out of luck on roommates. You remember I explained how I was rooming with Colossus, who was I thought would be a really chill dude, but
broke everything.
Turned out to be not the best. And I have bad luck. This new roommate, I'm getting sick of him. His name is Ensaba Nur. He's got this whole sense of.
What's the origin of that name?
I think it's some kind of Middle Eastern.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. He's got this whole sense of entitlement that I find incredibly grating. Like he thinks he's owed the world or something.
Damn.
Right? Like he doesn't lift it. And I know we came here to talk about like roommates that we like, and but the dude he doesn't lift a finger around the entire house. Whenever I ask him to do something, he just talks me into doing it myself. And you know what? No, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna go talk to him right now. Hey, so you know what? I thought about it, and I really feel like I'm really liking Apocalypse. Oh, I mean, and Summoner. Like, he's actually, we talked about it, and like, he's a real chill dude. It's funny. I approached him politely to ask why he isn't doing his share of the household duties, and it hit me. I'm like really good at washing dishes, you guys. I don't
better
know why.
For you to do them.
Right. Yes. God, it makes so much sense now. I mean, I don't know why it didn't occur to me before, but it absolutely makes sense. Apocalypse. Oh, now I'm saying it. Simply explain to me that it's better that I do the dishes regularly. Not only that, but he helped me find a passion that I never knew I had, which is, of course, the passion for excruciating unpaid physical labor. Now, I know what you're thinking.
Oh.
I know what you're thinking. Andrew, why are you spending all day pulling this 10-ton block of limestone across the front lawn? Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told my busybody neighbors. I quit my job completely of my own free will because, frankly, the whole making money and living with free will just wasn't doing it for me. Don't worry, I do think they're starting to come around.
It sounds like you had a very productive talk with Ensabanur.
He's, for all of his faults, he's good. He makes a couple good points, and I can't somehow overcome.
Does Ensabanur always be demanded to be called by its full name, like Freddie Prinze Jr.? Is that what this is?
Yeah, it's definitely he definitely has the same energy of a teen heartthrob in the 90s.
Like Zachary Taylor Thomas.
Yes. Yeah. If in a different world, he would definitely be the cover of Tiger Beat.
Neil Patrick Harris to hit our rule of threes there.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, there we go. We got it. All right. That sounds interesting, Andrew. Thank you for keep us updated on that. Let us know how that relationship builds.
It can only be good.
We all know it really sucks when like your friends can't get past that first impression of your roommate, so they don't want to like come over and hang out. So what happened with this roommate as you guys got to know each other a little better? Did you see what your friends were talking about and like didn't like the guy anymore? Or were they still the cool roommate you got to know when they moved in? Matt, tell us about Mort.
Yeah, man. So like I had a lot of trepidations when Mort first moved in. I was like, listen, I don't want to live with this clingy, clammy weirdo. That is not what I am trying to spend my freshman year of college living with. But I gotta say, he's been really great. And for a couple of reasons. One, he can fix anything. Like, he is so handy and mechanical. Like, it's incredible. Anytime something breaks, it takes no time for my boy Mort to just fix it right up, which is awesome, because, like, I'm not handy. And if it's not blowing in the N64 cartridge to get the game to work, I don't know shit about shit. So it's really great to have Mort around.
It's a very specific skill to have.
Listen, man, my resume isn't long. The other thing that I'll say about Mort is this is our freshman year dorm room, and we wanted it to be decorated, and we wanted it to be decorated with all sorts of crazy things. We wanted to put shelves on the wall. We wanted posters everywhere, but our
gotta have that Reservoir Dogs poster,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's actually the Reservoir Dogs is on his side, and then what was that other movie?
Pulp Fiction?
No, it's the one with Norman Reedus. The Boondock Saints poster is on my side of the room.
That's the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool because we were able to decorate so much only because of Mort. See, our dorm doesn't let us nail things onto the wall, and it's like Mort can just make things sticky. It's great, and it never comes off. It's like he sweats glue. It's a little weird, I'm not gonna lie, but it's really handy for me. So we took our brand new 72-inch screen TV that he just brought home one day. I didn't ask where he got it, and he was just able to hock a loogie on the back of it and smack it on the wall, and it's still there 3 weeks later. It's incredible. The big what? Go ahead.
So
what's this glue sweat covered room smell
I wanted
like,
to,
Matt?
I wanted to unpack the glue thing because it feels like you're explaining it to be an unmitigated success, and I have to imagine that's got at least a 1% fail rate.
You are saying this with the confidence of a man who has never used a 3M strip on something and had it come crashing down at 4 a.m.
Right.
Okay, so here's the thing, is that it hasn't gone poorly yet. And I'm not saying that it won't go poorly, but we haven't hung anything of mine that is expensive on the wall. Like, if my poster falls, my poster falls. He found the TV. I don't know where he got it, but he found it. So if he's cool with spitting it up on the wall, I'm cool with it too.
There's some
Okay.
Matt in the roommate agreement please don't spit on my stuff.
Don't spit on my
Without my
expensive
permission.
things. Only spit on my posters. The other thing you asked about the smell.
It was weird because he put daddy at the end of that.
God damn it.
Ugh, gross.
We talked about this. We said we weren't going to do this.
How many episodes can we go in a row saying daddy at each episode?
a non-zero amount.
Yeah.
Anyway, you asked about the smell, and I gotta be honest with you. There is a smell, but I live in a men's freshman year college dorm. Everybody smells. I smell.
That's fair.
The smell was there before Mort. The smell will be there after Mort.
Yeah, I smell, he smells, my RA smells, everybody smells. So honestly, you go nose blind after the first day or so, and it's whatever. But the thing that really pushed me over the top on Mort, I gotta say, it was a little weird. No, I won't even say it was a little weird. It was a lot weird. The first time I saw it happen, it really caught me off guard. I was scared. I didn't know what I was watching. But after I got used to it, I've really come around on it. Because, like, I hate bugs. I don't like bugs. I don't like spiders. They freak me out. And we live in a really old dorm. And so they come out of the vents. They come out of the windows. Like, there are bugs everywhere. And one day I was sitting at my desk working on homework. And this pretty gnarly looking spider crawled across my desk. Like, not huge, but big enough that it was noticeable. And I was a little taken aback, and I was getting ready to find something to smack it with. And then all of a sudden, blam! Tongue on my desk, gets the spider's gone.
Whoa.
And I was like, whoa, hold the phone. Something happened so fast that my brain couldn't understand it. And I looked over, and I had a hard time figuring out what happened, but it looked like Mort was cleaning his teeth, like he had a toothpick and he was cleaning his teeth. And I didn't think anything of it. I just went back to doing my homework.
You absolutely should have.
Yeah, you should have questioned that.
Yeah,
immediately.
I know, and I should have, but the spider was gone, and that was really my priority.
Net gain.
Yeah, so the next time,
I mean, we were all freshmen at one point. We've never lived with anyone before that. It's boundaries are weird.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know. And so the second time a spider came crawling across my desk and blam tongue, time number 2, I realized that this was going to be a thing. And that was hard. But we don't have a lot of bugs in our room. And I do hate bugs. So again, yeah, net gain.
Now, is your desk as sticky as the wall that's currently holding up your 72-inch TV?
Yeah, so what I have learned is that I just have like a box of saran wrap, and anytime he gets a bug, I just lay another layer of saran wrap down.
Yeah.
So you get
That seems to be the right way
fresh
to handle
surface.
That seems sustainable.
Yeah.
I would. So all jokes aside, that is a very college way of dealing with the mess.
Yep.
That like it is in a dorm room that ultimately is not your responsibility.
Yeah, right?
It's. I feel like that would be the take of like someone vomited in the hall. Like, all right, let me put the saran wrap down.
You just move the wet floor sign like over the vomit.
Yep. So there is my current feelings on Mort. Overall, pretty good roommate. Not a lot of complaints. Not a lot of bugs. Net gain.
I like there are
I
a
have
lot
some
of
complaints. I have some complaints with a lot of things you just said, but
Feels like I was riddled with complaints, but
you do you, Matt. Todd, tell us about Gallon of Ta.
Yeah, so I specifically recall back then thinking, man, like my friends are so wrong. Like Gallon of Ta is great, or Gallon Ta or whatever it was.
Do you call him Gallon of Ta? Like, is that what you call him?
I called him Gallon Ta, and then he would just stare intensely at me. So I just stopped and
So much like an Saba Noor.
Yeah, I would just do one of those like, hey, roomie. Like, what's up,
Yeah,
bro?
hey, bud.
Like,
Hey, man.
those.
yeah.
Yeah. But like early on as a roommate, like he fucked. It was great. Like, first off, he had the best stories. he's apparently, go figure, older than the universe itself and has literally been all across the galaxy, which like started to kind of like raise some flags. But you know, like people like talk themselves up
Is
when
he
they
one
get
of those
to college.
fundamental Christians that only thinks the universe is 6,000 years old?
So that could be. Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you.
usually when
he's,
people say that, you assume that they're lying. Now, was he? Did you think he was lying?
at the time I thought yes, but there's more, right?
Okay.
So after I questioned, like, well, are you really like, you know, put the beer down? Like, are you really older than the universe? You got to tell me. He had said that apparently every few decades he travels to the furthest reaches of the galaxy in his planet-sized spaceship to find planets that don't have intelligent life so that he can consume the planet for his sustaining energy.
Oh, he was your roommate that did hallucinogens.
Yeah,
okay.
he was the LSD guy.
Yeah.
Which, like, again, like, this is a pretty wild story. But like beyond that, he had these really sick party tricks where he could shrink himself down and he could grow really, really big. He could also levitate. And like those things kind of started to give away that Gallon wasn't
Had
my
a good
normal
LSD hookup.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, it kind of started to send up some flags that maybe he wasn't your normal, 18 to 28 foot tall roommate. So Gallon, Gallon, or as I learned, he would get really drunk and call himself Galactus, the hunger that does not cease. He was a lot of fun back then. Like when we would hang out, he would float beers into the room. He could turn literal trash into more beers via his power of transmutation. He would also help me pull sick pranks through interdimensional ports that he could create. Specifically, we would ice our other roommates. It was great. We would just materialize an ice in front of them.
You had fun goof 'em up adventures,
Yeah,
huh?
some good goof 'em ups. That's a good way.
For anyone listening who didn't know Todd in college, Todd would have absolutely abused interdimensional portals to ice his roommates.
Yeah. College Todd kind of was the world eater. I was gonna say, fun fact though, this is very real. It's not real. There is a Craigslist page for seeking 18 to 24 foot roommates. That's real.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very specific kink.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give you some credit because I also, when I get drunk, become the hunger that never ceases. So that makes him sound like a pretty normal guy.
Well, yeah. I was like Galactus, dude. Yeah, man, I feel that. Let's go to Kane's right now. But like this whole like literally teleporting Smirnoff ices into inconvenient places for our other friends.
Rules.
Like, yeah, we were super into it, but like my other friends, obviously they weren't into it because they suck. What was cool though, at least I remember it back then being cool, was that he even one night when we were doing some of these, hallucinogens that I first thought was what made him 18 to 20 feet tall, but then realized that he really is that tall. He made me the sick offer to give me some of his powers and then allow me to travel to faraway galaxies and live forever using something that he called the power cosmic, which I assumed was just, again, more LSD.
I have a question. I'm raising my hand. I have a question.
You, with the hand?
Was this just more drugs? Was this?
I
just
thought,
sounds
well,
like
I
more
thought
drugs.
It sounds like
certainly
more
sounded
drugs.
like more drugs.
Like I've been to other planets too, Todd.
Yeah,
and,
I bought the power cosmic off a guy behind 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it was. Well, at this point in time, back in this time that I speak of, Galactus did in fact offer me a little bit of power cosmic, which the ability to travel to planets and live forever was just way cooler than my plans to study abroad. So,
Todd, I think I remember you telling me about this. Didn't that offer also come with a sick surfboard?
it would have definitely come with a sick surfboard.
Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, that was a weird dude. It was a weird dude.
Fuck, the power cosmic 7-Eleven really got me. Very
So
good.
stupid.
Are you ready? Are you ready to answer your question?
Uh-huh.
So
I gotta get
all
a
right,
character.
Andrew, why don't you tell us about how you and Saba Noor are getting along?
I just honestly I don't understand the hate. I think people just don't understand Apocalypse. Like, okay, let's start there, for example. Now, I know his name technically means the end of the world or whatever, but look at me. I'm still here. I might be covered in bruises and scars and am constantly out of breath all the time, and my life expectancy has probably been cut in half, but here I am. Yes, I know people are worried about me, but I'm here to say I'm fine. Hell, I'm more than fine. When I broke both of my arms and displaced my shoulder and had just a little baby heart attack in the middle of trying to push a block of pure limestone up a hill, Apocalypse put his hands on my shoulder and healed my broken bones, you guys. I mean, it still hurt like hell, but look, it's me moving my arm on a Zoom call. He made me stronger. Now I can push blocks at twice the efficiency that I have ever have before. It's so much better, and I can finally make some real progress on that West Wing antechamber and above ground tomb. Look, what I'm saying is Apocalypse cares. He is smart, he's driven, and most importantly, he takes care of his own. And when we are masters of the New World Order, when our apartment is finally run purely on solar energy, we'll look out on our proverbial throne of renewable energy and say, "Boy, howdy! Remember having to pay for an electric bill?" That's what we'll say.
Andrew, you didn't mention he was a personal trainer. Got you on a strict workout, making you stronger.
That's what I'm saying. I am a better person. I don't have nightmares anymore. I'm not anxious anymore. I don't feel stressed when I wake up. Oh, I don't sleep anymore. But yeah, I just like I am explicitly focused on one goal, and that's all I care about, and it feels great.
Yeah,
feels great.
I had a roommate that was a personal trainer who listened to InfoWars too. I didn't get along with him as well as you seem to, but yeah, pretty typical.
Andrew, question.
Answer.
What is a baby heart attack? Just like how is that?
Baby, just like
just a little blip. Just a little.
Yeah. Just like a little, like, oh, I'm dead. No, I'm not.
Like the baby heart attack.
Yeah.
Andrew, if I use the phrase Stockholm syndrome, does that mean anything to you?
No.
You're fine. Sure, it's good.
All right. So Todd, Matt, those two your time with those roommates came to an end. Andrew, I imagine your lease with En Sabah Nur is wrapping up. You guys told me though that like towards the end they started doing well at work, started bringing their work home with them, and besides, weirdly, they both had a interesting work uniform. Was there anything else you noticed that was odd before that lease was up? Were they still cool? Do you guys keep in touch? Are they still at that job? Just how are they doing these days?
Yeah, man. So I do keep up with Toad here and there. I will say, to everyone's credit who talked to me before we moved in together, he really values friendship in a way that feels a little clingy. Like I don't know how familiar with the Transformers you are, but he reminds me a little bit of Starscream. Like he just wants to be everybody's best friend, and it really means a lot to him. And
is that how your read of Starscream is?
I mean, to Megatron, yeah. I mean, like Starscream and Megatron's relationship, and Toad, and anyway,
Andrew,
after
the things you just told us, I don't know if you've got any right to be calling out the people's reads on other people.
Where are your weak, malnourished legs to stand on, Andrew?
Listen, I'm sitting down right now, but that's not because I'm tired. Also, my relationship with Apocalypse is different, okay? It's different. I can't articulate how, but it's different.
So anyway, yeah, we have maintained our friendship, I think, mostly because he wants to maintain the friendship. I mean, he's my freshman year roommate. We play in the same fantasy football league every once in a while, but he still texts me a lot. So everything was fine near the end of our lease. He was cool. He came in through the window of our second floor bedroom. I think he lost his key.
Like the kid from Clarissa Explains It All. Just always throwing a ladder up there and climbing in the window.
Yeah, a little bit of a narrow cast, but sure. Yeah. And I didn't ask questions. I assumed he lost his key, and he must be good at climbing or jumping or something. I don't know. There was a very particular time where I came home. I think I had some power cosmic. I was feeling a little weird. And I came home, and I swear that he was hanging from the ceiling. Like all 4 limbs planted firmly on the ceiling, but hanging.
Yeah, it sounds like Power Cosmic to me.
Yeah, so I just kind of went to bed. I didn't think too much of it. And I only saw him do it like a handful of times. And in general, like, it was a bugless situation, which I do want to double down. That means a lot to me as a person, that we didn't have a lot of bugs. And overall, it was cool. We had a lot of really nice, expensive stuff that would just show up. I think he might have been like into dumpster diving or Facebook Marketplace or something. And he had some late nights on the weekends. I think he got mixed up with those Brotherhood guys that I talked about when I was talking about my roommate Hank. Yeah, I think he got a little bit more in with them than I did. Seemed to really, I don't know, drink the Kool-Aid sounds harsh, because he was still my buddy. We were still friends. He asked if I wanted to come to the meetings, and I said that was okay. Then yeah, that was pretty much it. Overall, good guy. I miss him a little.
Do you think that your roommate friend, distant friend, got involved in a cult? Because it sounds like he got involved in a cult.
I only lived with him for a year, so I didn't feel the need to ask questions.
Yeah.
If you told me it was a cult, I might believe you.
Okay. Because you definitely sound like the first episode of all those Nexium documentaries.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like the kind of situation where I text him, and sometimes it takes him like 3 to 6 months to get back to me, but he responds to me like I just texted him 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And we keep in touch, and often he reaches out to me, but it's like, hey, I'm in the area and we're doing some Brotherhood things. Do you want to help us? Like, I don't know, maybe if you could just like come and we're playing this game and we need somebody to stand lookout. Can you just like be our lookout guy? And I usually tell him no. I don't see him all that often. Our lives have gone separate ways. I shower now. I think he still doesn't. But yeah, I mean, it seems like everything with him is okay.
I would argue that it is not.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Andrew here.
I don't want to
again.
yuck anyone's yum, but yeah, that's not. It doesn't sound like a healthy adult.
It sounds like at best he's a criminal, at worst he's in a dangerous murder cult.
Yeah. I was gonna try and add more, but I don't want to take away from that sentence.
I mean, he's just my freshman year roommate. I'm not here to run his life. He doesn't need me to tell him how to live.
Sure.
I'm not here to keep him out to not get involved in his dangerous murder cult.
Yeah, if he joins a death cult, he joins a death cult. We stayed good friends. I'm probably not gonna die. That seems important to me.
I feel like we've only got 2 data points, Matt, but you're 2 for 2 on dangerous death cults. And I feel like that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, okay, so I don't really have an argument for that.
That's just a friendly guy. He's just.
I also like. I don't know why if he joins a death cult, he joins a death cult sounded so familiar, but I got massive deja vu from hearing that.
Yeah, I wanna also say Andrew may also be in a separate but similar death cult, so you're not alone.
It is not a death cult. It is a group of people with like-minded interests and viewpoints, and we all agree and we love each other, and we don't need the government to tell us what to do. This is different.
And if you join now, you also can get 20% off essential oils.
Our compound of weapons is unrelated.
Yeah, there was so much sadness that I didn't know that I had.
Again, let me be clear here. My roommate joined the death cult. I did not join the death cult.
Saying death cult a lot.
I want to double down on I'm not in a death cult.
Todd, tell us how your roommate who is into hallucinogens ended up.
Yeah, so obviously, like everything we're talking about, this all started a few years back, a decade back. And I'm gonna just be straight with you. Things haven't been great. Gallon, or as he started referring to himself, things like Galactus, Devourer of Worlds, Galactus, God of Oblivion, Galactus, Monster of All Worlds. A lot of those things started popping up a lot more frequently, and not when we were drinking. So like, it wasn't like, oh, I get drunk and I suddenly become. No, this was just.
He became
like
a Facebook entrepreneur. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Just making up titles.
Yeah. And so things just kind of took a strange turn. So remember how I had said that like he told me that he would consume a planet every decade or so? Well, that time came, and he went and he consumed a plant, and he came back 10 feet taller.
Wow.
And he also just seemed really jazzed on this new immense power, and he just kept promising, this position, this role that he could give me as part of his team of boss babes, and it was that he would make me his herald, whatever that means. And so,
where's Harold fall in his downline, Todd?
it's immediately underneath him. It's him and then Harold.
Okay.
It sounded great, right? In the
Yeah.
triangle. If you can't be the peak of the triangle, right there beneath it.
Yeah.
In the pyramid, I think Andrew is telling me he's built so many. The second part below the peak is the strongest part of the pyramid. Well, and anyway, so he offered me a chance to be his herald, and like I said yes, because my time as a campus tour guide sucked, And so, well, wouldn't you know it, he hooked me up with some of that power cosmic he had been talking about, which I found out was actually just a ray of power that ultimately replaced my soul and made me near immortal. So,
Danny.
Not fun club drugs, as Matt was thinking. And so, anyway, that was a decade ago. And so basically now I'm recruited into this dude's downline, where once a month I have to dedicate a few days out of the month to fly across the galaxy and help him find destitute planets that hopefully don't have life forms on them, so that he can ultimately consume
Sell
them.
essential oils. Got it.
Yeah. So Matt's old roommate got into a cult. Todd's old roommate got into a multi-level marketing scheme.
And like it gets worse. I'm stuck until I find him a replacement. I'm
that's
just
how it
forced to be here.
Those contracts are tricky,
month.
Todd. You gotta watch what you're signing there.
Well, and it's worse too, because like he's also just late on rent. This is a decade later. He just stopped paying rent because he keeps coming up with these stupid excuses. Like the concept of currency is something I've transcended beyond, and I refuse to labor my infinite existence with such petty issues. So Kyle, things aren't. Yeah, I know, right? Same. Things aren't great with Galactus. Wish you would have just told me at the start that he goes by Galactus and not Gallon of Ta, which is way less threatening than Galactus.
We all find ourselves in college, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say also arguing the purpose of money is such an LSD roommate thing to do.
Oh, it is absolutely.
I really just wish back then there would have been some bigger red flags than this 18 to 28 foot tall robotic man with dead eyes and a large purple headdress rolling into the living room.
Don't we all?
Yeah, not a big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how could we have known?
Who could have seen this coming?
Who could have seen this coming? It's like that stupid meme with the guy in the hot dog suit. It's like, we're all trying to find who did this.
Who did this? It's obviously you.
Okay, so remember how I told you guys about the whole conversion to solar energy thing, and that we were doing that by retrofitting our apartment into a gigantic pyramid reminiscent of 2500 BC Egypt. You remember I told you about that? Yeah.
I think you glossed
vaguely,
over some details, but we got the gist.
You got the gist. Well, from what I gathered, it goes a teeny bit farther than just sustainable energy. As it turns out, Apocalypse really was trying to dismantle society as we know it and topple the government, ultimately rising to absolute power and destroying everything we've ever known and loved, yada, yada, yada. Now, sure, there were some...
He's the anarchist roommate.
He's the anarchist roommate. He also doesn't believe in the concept of money. Now, sure, there were some very, very subtle signs at first. He would leave for weeks at a time, only to return with new mysterious roommates that he called his horsemen, which, like, I thought at first was just kind of like a funny kind of like play on his name. But so I was like, okay, like this is fine, I guess. More friends to help build the pyramids. I mean, I'm very tired and very frail. But they didn't really help out. They just kind of like brooded around talking about overthrowing the oppressive regime and how humanity doesn't deserve to live. Apparently it wasn't a metaphor for disrupting the way big energy companies do business. Like they actually wanted to take over the world. Todd's old roommate actually showed up for just like about a hot second.
Feels right.
And also my old roommate, his friend, and most of the other people we've talked about. A lot of people in different intervals. And they were all just like kind of a dick. Like great example. I thought maybe the dude with wings would be like a fun guy to hang around with. You know, he just flies around but then one day he turned all metallic and blue and was calling himself Death. Just like kind of a bummer of a person, you know?
I hated it when my roommates would invite their emo
Turn
friends
metallic
over.
and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just listened to The Cure all the time. Yeah. And then another man with a glowy eye showed up and was yelling about being from an alternate timeline in the future. And told me I could just buy solar panels. Did you guys know that? You just buy solar panels. So I decided to talk to Apocalypse about it. Anyway, record scratch. That's how I got here, standing on the front line of an army of mutants ready to take on our government's oppressors. Apocalypse says we really have a good shot, but that a lot of us won't make it. So I should probably go. Wish me luck.
All right. Well, bye. Good luck, Andrew.
Yeah.
I wish we could talk you out of it, but you seem pretty determined.
It's gonna happen.
Sure. So, we got to take a break here, guys. But I do know you all have a crazy, and don't we all? You all have a crazy run-in with the cops story with this roommate. So that's going to be our super secret bonus question when we get back, guys. I want to hear about all your run-ins with the police. But we're going to take a real quick break first.
Okay, listen, you know as well as we do, one day Nintendo is gonna come knocking and tell us to stop using the Wii Shop music or they're gonna sue the underwear off us. So instead of that, today I'm going to read you terrible gaming jokes I found on the internet for the next 60 seconds. I have not pre-read any of these. Let's see how it goes. What game do you play after eating Taco Bell? Fortnite. I asked my dad why a grown man would play Pokemon Go. He said, why not? How do you cure hunger in Minecraft? 3 square meals. What does Sonic use to knock on a door? Knuckles. How do you get a Bulbasaur on a bus? You poke him out. What did Princess Zelda eat for breakfast? A sausage link. Damn it. PS4 got injured and Xbox One is calling the ambulance. Wii U, Wii U, Wii U, Wii U. Jesus, 60 seconds is a long time. Why is a Jedi Knight never lonely? Because the Force is always with him. Why shouldn't you ask Yoda for money? Because he's always a little short. Why did Mario cross the road? Because he couldn't find the warp zone. What did Super Nintendo say to Sega Genesis? You know, everyone always tells me that I'm a bit better than you. Why did Sony hire Justin Timberlake to fix the PlayStation Network? Because they were hoping he could bring more than sexy back. Okay, I'm done. I'm never doing that again.
All right, we're back. So, guys, you all told me during the break you've got a great cop story dealing with your roommate. So, Matt, why don't you tell us about the time you had to field the police for Mort?
Yeah, so my cop story sounds a lot like a lot of people's first college cop story. You know, I remember my freshman year of college, the first time that I ever found my way onto the roof of a building. You know, there's that really exciting night where somebody, like, we're all sitting around, everybody's drinking, and someone's like, hey, let's go climb up on the roof. And you don't know what you're gonna do when you go up on the roof, but you're like, yeah, sure, I want to go on the roof. The roof sounds cool. Let's go to the roof. So we climb up to the roof, and we have a good time, and we're hanging out, yada, yada, yada. That's my experience of going up on the roof. However, my buddy Mort went up on the roof one night, and I wasn't there. I was at home in the dorm, minding my own business, and Mort
drinking chocolate milk and watching PBS.
Yep, drinking chocolate milk.
Praying.
All the things. So my buddy Mort says, hey, I'm going to go hang out with some friends and we're going to party a little bit. Do you want to come? And I was like, no, that's okay. You go have your own fun. I don't know, a couple hours later, I get a knock on my door from the police and they ask me, hey, is one Mortimer Toynbee your roommate? And I said, yeah, I mean, we call him Mort. Actually, we call him Toad, but I mean, yeah, I guess he is my roommate. And they said, okay, well, he's down at the station and he's looking for somebody to come and bail him out. And I was like, whoa. Mort's a really introverted guy. What happened? Like, what do you mean? And he said, Well, it appears as though this party moved its way to the roof, and I said, Natch, and they said, we know. And so they were up on the roof.
You know how cops talk.
Yeah, like how cops talk. Hanging out, partying, being college freshmen, and then all of a sudden somebody walks down the street, and Mort thought it was a good idea to jump off the roof and land on him. And now Mort is a pretty big guy. Mort's like 250 pounds. And so...
Or so the wiki has led me to believe.
the wiki has led me to believe. And he jumps off the roof and lands on somebody, and they get really hurt. And the cop that saw this was like, oh my God, that kid just jumped off the roof. I don't know if he's okay. And he rushed over there, and right as he pulled up, Mort jumped back up onto the roof like it was some sort of game. And every time somebody would walk by, he was planning on jumping down on him. Well, long story short, it turns out even when you can jump good, if you get too drunk, your aim is off. And so the cops managed to catch him and throw him in lockout, and then I had to bail out my buddy Mort.
I think the wildest part of that story is the thought that a cop would come and visit you personally to tell you your roommate was in lockup.
I mean, if it was where we went to college and it was the rent-a-cops that patrolled our campus, they probably would.
Yeah.
There was the one, and there was the one otter cop who I could hear saying Natch when you.
Yeah.
You talking about Dan? Yeah, you're talking about Dan.
Yeah. Todd.
Yeah, so my story is not terribly unlike Matt's, but a little bit different. So
were you on
a lot of jumping on roofs going on?
No roof jumping, but so as you know, college campuses have some pretty strict parking rules. And I had told Galactus, like, hey man, your room, which is just the spare vaulted ceiling room, does not come with a parking space. But much like paying rent on time, he just didn't seem to care for things that he called material or not up to his standard of caring. So anyway, one day some campus police showed up at our door, and they were asking whose vehicle it was that is illegally parked with its immensely long landing ramp that somehow landed in the middle of campus. They somehow traced that to us. And, I was cool to play it off by saying, not my car, man. It's the guys across the street, probably. Because, I'm smooth. To which they said, so no one here owns the planet-sized spaceship at the end of the impossibly long ramp that is so immense that it curves with the horizon of the Earth. Not even the 30-foot headdress-wearing fella that lives here. And, that's pretty specific. So I decided, with my quick thinking, I said, am I being detained? And after that, they left.
Because Todd watched a YouTube video on how to deal with the cops.
Yeah, so they left after that because I'm smooth. And they also reminded me that they're campus police and they have no authority to arrest anyone. So I played it very cool. Perhaps, though, the bigger issue is that infinitely long ramp that does lead up to a planet-sized ship, it is now quickly spinning our Earth out of orbit and thrusting us into a second ice age. So we should probably be concerned about that.
Fake news.
Fake news.
It's natural.
It goes in cycles.
Goes in cycles. Yeah. It's planetary wobble is what it is. It's not a tilt. It's a wobble, and it varies.
Good.
You want me to yell? Am I being detained again?
So I don't know if you guys knew this, but before there never used to be a specific police call about setting up a series of Giza-like pyramids in your backyard. Now there is. So, so the cops were called, and because there was some suspicious activity, because we, like I said, we're setting up a network of massive pyramids that rivaled Giza in Egypt itself. They showed up, and I remember carrying an exceptionally large block of limestone, and they asked, "What are you doing?" Building a pyramid.
What do you mean? What am I doing?
Like, yeah, what do you mean?
Nothing to hide here.
What are you doing?
I don't think I'm breaking a law, officer. There is nothing.
Did you ask him if you're being detained?
I didn't. Well, I did not, because about the time when I was going to, Apocalypse actually showed up, and Apocalypse just very calmly explained why this particular cul-de-sac needed a series of massive tomb-like structures set up in pyramids made of limestone blocks, and why also this group of people was doing it by hand. And the cops they got it so hard that gosh dang it, they just jumped in and helped. And I think they're still out there today, actually. So yeah, it's fine.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Three very typical interactions with campus police, I think. That sounds about right.
Experiences that all of us have had.
Did we all agree that this was going to be a college thing? Because this kind of devolved into just like talking about college dorms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get that like we all had obviously a similar like small private school experience, but I like to think at the end of the day there's through lines for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has noticed how shitty their campus police are.
Yeah.
Everyone has had a bad roommate. Everyone's probably had a good roommate.
Everyone had that roommate they shouldn't have liked and somehow did. So
yep.
Everyone's had that roommate that, convinces them to do manual labor to rebuild pyramids in Giza.
You know how you do that.
You know.
All right. So I don't know what I'm deciding here, but I'm gonna think about those three roommates you guys had and decide which one was the best, I guess. So while I do that,
yeah, why not?
Before I do that, why don't you guys give me one last argument for this good roommate you had back in the day, or currently if you're Andrew.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Toad, so like listen, every friends group has the smelly kid, right? And I am not saying that the smelly kid is bad. Actually, what I'm saying is that the smelly kid typically has a fine personality. And what I'm telling you is that the smelly kid that I found is really a pretty good guy. He's a pretty good guy who sometimes brings home really expensive things, and his spit is glue, and he eats bugs, but he's a really good guy, and I like him for that.
All right, Kyle, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that Galactus has been a good roommate. He is not. He has thoroughly not been a good roommate as the dust has settled and continues to settle. But what I will tell you is that he can offer you a position in his downline. He can offer you some power. So I'm gonna throw some names out. So there's me. We talked about the Human Torch. Everyone loves the Human Torch. What about Doctor Strange? What about Thor? These are all people that have held the title of Herald. And Kyle, you too can become part of the role of Herald, and you can also get a good taste of that sweet power.
How many people do I have to get to be my Herald to do that? To join?
It's not like quite that way. It's more so how many uninhabited or like sparsely habited planets can you identify? Once you've done enough of that, then I think you're allowed to. You're encouraged to find a person who could join the team.
Just quantitative research, Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah, just you can be part of this team, and then I won't be. That'd be great.
Kyle, I was gonna sit here and tell you why Apocalypse is the better roommate, but I don't think I have to, because Matt and Todd just basically straight up said why their roommates weren't very good. So what I will tell you is that Apocalypse is the only one among these three that really cares. He's the only one of these three that has a vision. He has a plan, and better and most importantly, he helps people. He makes them see their true potential. I did not know who I was before I met Apocalypse. I didn't have steel wings or whatever other indiscriminate powers that the other horsemen get in an X-Men Apocalypse before I met Apocalypse and mysteriously got steel wings or whatever other indiscriminate powers. He helped me find my own potential, and it wasn't through a fake multi-level marketing scheme or a very silly sticky boy. He's the only one that can usher in the true next evolution of man.
I was just curious.
What?
Are you gonna put the next true evolution of man on red baseball hats? That seems like something that goes on red baseball hats.
Next true evolution of man, 2024. All right.
That hurts.
Well, guys, I'm I don't know what the conceit of this episode is. I'm just gonna go meet your former roommates. I think I'll look them up on Facebook, maybe chat with them a little bit. So while I do that,
Apocalypse is only on LinkedIn.
Oh, only on LinkedIn. Good to know. So while I'm looking those guys up, chatting with them, why don't you guys do some good vibes for me?
Man, what a weird episode this was. What a strange weird thing it was. Todd, Galactus. A, very funny. B, funny because you were like, the spare room with the vaulted ceilings. And then I remembered that the college house that we all experienced had a spare room with really high vaulted ceilings.
Dang.
That wasn't, and weirdly wasn't like the first choice of rooms in that house.
Right, yeah. So that was weird and tickled a strange thing for me. But definitely hilarious that this idea of like, oh, I had a roommate and I became his herald and that was, fine. It was only a year of my life. It's cool. And the power cosmic bit really got me. That was some funny shit there.
Good.
Guarantee there is a multi-level marketing scheme out there where one of the tiers is herald.
See, I thought you were gonna say, I guarantee that there is some form of street drugs called Power Cosmic, and I also think that statement
that sounds
good.
like a fan, not a fanfic, but like a like alternate fiction version of X-Men. Like that's where the street drug called Power Cosmic turns up.
I'm sure there is some like kitschy Portland dispensary that has sold Power Cosmic for $90 a gram. Like that had to have happened.
That's like a strain. It has to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was really good. Andrew, your Stockholm Syndrome bit never ceases to make me laugh. Very good, especially because I know we both watched X-Men Apocalypse recently, and so we have that shared experience of Oscar Isaac being sad.
Okay.
It's so okay. It's so very okay.
It is the definition of a hard 5.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we all brought weird energy today, and I enjoyed the weird energy that you guys brought to this call.
Matt, Toad is the sticky, smelly roommate that we all would have and maybe did have.
Did have.
Toad, yeah. Toad is definitely that roommate that left the dishes out for far too long to the point that the cereal got a film on it, like a skin. Yeah, Toad is such. And again, we talk about like just how wild X-Men are, that they end up in these weird situations, and also when they're at Professor X's mansion, like they do all live together in this kind of situation. Toad would be the one that if he were in that situation, you walked in and saw Toad as your roommate, you'd go,
Yeah.
Also, Toad is underrated and shows up at weird times in movies and games, and I think everyone secretly loves him. Andrew, Apocalypse is horrifying. I don't ever wish to live with him, but all powerful give you human evolution to the next level, so what's not to love about that? Also, I have a hard, I like thinking about Apocalypse from the X-Men cartoons, but I too have seen the movie that you and Matt just referenced, and forever he will look like Ivan Ooze in some way, shape, or form.
Yes,
to me.
that's exactly where I went to.
Yeah.
He's super Ivan Ooze. Also, I'll never really understand what Apocalypse's power is, but it's fine.
Yeah, he has all the powers.
It's whatever it needs to be, and also mine.
He's got plot powers.
It's plot powers.
Matt, Toad was such a good answer. It really is. Like of all the evil Brotherhood of Mutants, or just all the villains in the Marvel universe, Toad is definitely the most chill dude of all of them. You know what I mean? Like he's he's probably a little stinky, but he'll hang out and just play GTA with you all night. Like he's just that kind of guy. Like I liked your description of living with him very, very much. Todd, Galactus was equally as chaotic energy. I'm glad I wasn't the only person who went on the other side of the fence there. So Galactus v Apocalypse, both equal but opposite chaos. The idea that you would go and see an 18-foot man asking how tall are the ceilings.
Seems chill.
Yeah.
Also, is that 18-foot with the 2-foot trident hat, or is that?
The wiki didn't specify, but I've never seen him without the hat. Like the suit is part of the package. So I'm gonna guess.
I would
yes.
imagine.
So he's only 16 feet plus the hat.
Yeah. Plus
well,
the
I
hat,
mean the shoes give some raise as well. He got some lifters in there, so.
Like we've said a lot this year, you can definitely tell where we are at as people and as a society by the state of our energy whilst we're recording. And again, we recorded this on November 8th, and the catharsis is very real. So
you can take away from that what you will.
Yeah, go us, go America. Everybody's good.
Well, good. I met with all these people. Let me just say
Did you accept the power cosmic, Kyle? You need to tell me if you did.
Are you moving limestone blocks as we speak?
Before I do my piece, let me just say I have lived with all three of these roommates. They may or may not all have been the same person. 2, Toad especially maps perfectly onto that kind of like mid to late 2000s burnout that we all have met and loved. That it just so perfectly maps onto that. Let me just say, I met with all these people. We'll start with Toad. You know, maybe at a different point in my life, I would have really liked hanging out and living with Toad. Here in 2020, just wasn't for me. Just can't take that on in my life here in 2020.
Yeah, the moment's passed. I feel that.
Yeah. Todd, I looked up Galactus, and man, he would just...
You looked up to Galactus?
I looked up to Galactus. And I just couldn't get a word in, Todd. He just went on and on about the power cosmic and his downstream and making me his herald, and I just backed out of the room.
Oh, beans.
And I couldn't do it. So Andrew, that I found Apocalypse on LinkedIn, and buddy, let me tell you, I dug out my work boots. I found my work gloves. I'm coming over. I'm pushing that limestone with you, man. We are building these pyramids.
Blocks.
He has so many positive reviews on LinkedIn. So many people have said nice things about him after working with him.
You haven't met the guy. He is convincing because he won me over. I'm not kidding. I'm right next to Andrew pushing these limestone blocks.
We're literally doing it right now.
Yeah.
No gods, no kings, all blocks, baby.
All blocks. So I'm going to wrap this up so I can get to pushing blocks faster. So thank you, everyone, for listening to Debate This. Follow along with the argument on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DebateThisCast, as well as find us on Patreon at patreon.com/debatethiscast. Until next time, I am Kyle, pushing blocks Harper.
I'm Matt, not in a death cult. I feel like I should reiterate, I'm not in a death cult. Cole.
I'm Todd, Galactus, hider of Smirnoff's Thomas.
And I'm Andrew, Colt 45, and a vast source of limitless, godless cosmic energy. Baby, that's all we need. Henderson.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us, and if you think we're wrong, then you can come fight us behind the giant limestone blocks we're pushing, nerds.
Hell yeah. Aw.
Wow.